Survivor Stories, Solomon Radatsky. How did I survive? When a person is in trouble, he wants to live. He fights for his life. Some people say, what will be, will be. No, you have to fight for yourself day by day. Some people did not care. They said, I don't want to live. What is the difference? I don't give a damn. I was thinking day by day, I want to live. A person has to hold on to his own will. Hold on to that to the last minute. I am from Warsaw. I lived in Praga, which is part of the city across the Vistula River. I had a nice life there. I had my own shop where I used to make fur coats. In Warsaw, when a Jewish holiday came, we used to know it was a holiday. All the stores were closed, and the people were in the synagogues. Out of the 78 people in my family, I am the only one to survive. My parents had 3 boys and 3 girls. My parents were Jacob and Toby. My brothers were Moise and Baruch. And my sisters were Sarah, Rivka, and Leah. They were all killed. My mother and my older sister were killed in the last week of January 1941. The year 1941 was a cold winter with a lot of snow. One morning, the SD and the Jewish police caught me in the street. I was forced to work with a lot of other people, clearing snow from the railroad tracks. Our job was to keep the trains running. When I returned to the ghetto, I found out that my mother and older sister had been killed. The Germans demanded that the Juden collect the furs, golden furs, from the people in the ghetto. When they asked my mother for jewelry and furs, she said she had none. So they shot her and my older sister too. My father was killed in April 1942. He went to buy bread from the children who were smuggling food into the ghetto. The children brought bread, potatoes, and cabbages across the wall into the Warsaw ghetto. A Jewish policeman pointed out to my father to a German and told him that he saw my father take bread from a boy at the wall. The German shot my father in the back. The deportation started on July 22, 1942. My other 2 sisters and 2 brothers went to Treblinka. After that, I saw anybody from my family again. I am furrier. In the ghetto, I worked at Tobin's shop. We made lamb's wool jackets for the German army. These were short jackets. Today we would call them Eisenhower jackets. For lunch, they gave us bread and soup. In the evening, we got another bread and soup. When Poles came to the shop, we could trade with them for extra food. We gave them a few shirts for a piece of salami and some bread or potatoes to make a soup. But how long could our situation last? One day there was a selection, and I was pulled from the shop. However, I was lucky because a Volksdeutscher told them I was a good worker. So I was allowed to go back to the shop, and someone else was put in my place. A friend told me that he saw one of my sisters working at Schultz's shop. I wanted to see her, but it was 3 kilometers away, and I did not know how to get there. A Jewish policeman told me that he could get a German soldier to go with me and bring me back. It would cost 500 zlotys, which was a lot of money, but I said okay. The soldier put me in handcuffs, and he walked behind me with a rifle like I was his prisoner. When I got to Schultz's shop, I could not find my sister. Then I found that I was stuck there. I could not go back because the ghetto had been surrounded by German soldiers. The next morning was April 19th, 1943, which was the day the Warsaw Ghetto uprising began. On May 1st, 1943, I was shot in the right ankle. The bullet went through the meat and not the bone, so I did not lose my leg. I was taken to Olmflensplatz. The Treblinka extermination camp could only take 10,000 people a day. In our group, we were 20,000. They cut off half of our train and sent it to Majdanek concentration camp. Majdanek was another death camp. At Majdanek, they took our clothes and gave us striped shirts, pants, and wooden shoes. I was sent to Barracks 21. As I lay in my bed, an older man asked me how I was. He said, "I can help you." He had been a doctor in Paris. He took a little pocket knife and operated on me. To this day, I do not understand how he could have kept a knife in the camp. There were no medicines or bandages. He said, "I have no medication. You have to help yourself. When you urinate, use some of the urine as an antiseptic on your wound." We had to walk 3 kilometers to work. I had to hold myself up straight without limping and walk out of the gate of the camp. I was scared. If I limped, they would take me out of line. At Majdanek, they hung you for any little thing. I did not know how I would make it. God must have helped me, and I was lucky. We stood at the Appell in our wooden shoes. Then when we got out of the gate, we had to take off our wooden shoes and tie them over our shoulders with a piece of string. We had to walk to work barefoot. There were little stones on the road that cut into your skin, and blood was running from the feet of many people. The work was dirty field work. After a few days, some people could not take it anymore, and they fell down in the road. If they could not get up, they were shot where they lay. After work, we had to carry the bodies back. If 1,000 went to work, 1,000 had to come back. One day, as we were standing at the Appell, a man in the back of the line smoked a cigarette. Heavy smokers would find a piece of paper and light it just to feel like they were smoking. A German, the Laufführer, came up riding a tall black horse. The horse had a white patch on his head, and its legs were white too. It was a beautiful horse. The Lagerführer held a whip in his hand. The man was a monster. It was late in the day, and the sun was going down. He saw the smoke from the cigarette. The Lagerführer looked down at us and demanded to know who had smoked a cigarette. No one answered. "I'm going to hang 10 dogs, he said. "I will give you 3 minutes. They called us dogs before we had tags with our numbers on them. My number was 993. We looked from one to the other, but no one answered. The Lagerführer did not wait 3 minutes. He did not wait 2 minutes. He took his whip and cut off 2 rows of 5 prisoners. I was in that group of 10. He asked, "Who wants to go up on the first bench?" You had to go stand on the bench and put the rope around your neck. I was in the first 3 to go up to the bench. I climbed up and put the rope around my neck. He started beating us. He beat me so much the blood was running down my head. Before this happened, a soldier had come to Majdanek for the purpose of selecting 3 groups of 750 people to take to another camp. I had been selected to be in the second group of 750. This soldier had been in Lublin at the main office processing our papers. While I was standing on the bench, the soldier came back to the gallows area. When he saw what was happening, he started hollering, "Halt! Halt! What is happening here?" The Lagerführer said, "A dog smoked a cigarette. They won't say which one, so I'm going to hang 10 dogs. "Whose dogs?" the soldier asked. "I have papers to transfer these people. I cannot bring in dead dogs. I have to bring them alive." The soldier took off the rope that had been around my neck. All it would have taken was a few seconds more, and I would have been dead. He had just to kick out the bench. The soldier beat us until we jumped down from the bench and got back into line. The soldier took us to the railroad tracks. He put us on a train, and in the next morning, we left Majdanek. I had been there 9 weeks. We were on this train for 2 nights and a day with no food or water. In my 9 weeks at Majdanek, I had not changed my shirt or washed myself. We were eaten up with lice, and many of us were swollen from hunger. When we got off the train, we saw that we had arrived at Auschwitz. There was a selection, and some of us were machine-gunned in the field there. They did not take them to the gas chambers. I was taken to get a number tattooed on my arm. I got a number, 128232. The separate numbers add up to 18. In the Hebrew language, the letters of the alphabet stand for numbers. The letters which stand for the number 18 spell out the Hebrew word chai, which means life. After I was tattooed, I was given a potato. I was first sent to the camp at Buna. After I got out of quarantine, I was put to work building railroad tracks. The capo there was a murderer. I am short, and he would put a short man together with a tall man to carry 20-foot lengths of iron. The tall man I worked with had to bend his knees. One time I fell down and could not get up. The capo started screaming and beating me and pulled me aside. There was a selection, and we had to take off our clothes